Hello, you guys. How are you all? Thank you guys for being here. I've missed you the last couple of days. I haven't seen you for a few days. So I'm excited to sit down and talk to you guys. Let me say hello to you. Hey, Nadie. Hey, MK. Sexy Wild Thing, Carol Freaking Claus. Hey, Headphones. Chopper. MK. Oh, wait, I said that. Did I say that? I think so, but I do that all the time. Sorry. Two hellos for you. Hey, Cutie Pie. Tiff. Good to see you. Kokomo. Hey, KK. Ooh, I like your new picture. Hey, Slink. Be careful driving. Hey, Stacy Lee. Hey, Amber. Sarah. Other Amber. Hey, True Crime Crazy. Hope you're feeling okay. Hey, Kokomo. Thank you guys for being here. Let's see. Hello, Heather Bratt. May have to listen for a bit while I get laundry done. Well, there you go. Something to listen to while you do laundry. Hey, DKK, Pretty Bugtail, Pretty Bugstail. Hey, Donna. Yes, ma'am. The same one. And I appreciate that so much. I do have a pinned comment at the top. I was going to tell you guys. Anybody who was going to donate or super chat or anything like that, Friday, we're going to do a fundraiser again through YouTube. So the money doesn't go through me at all. When we do it, there will be no super chat button or anything. It will just be like a donate button for the fundraiser. And yeah, so you might want to save it and use it for that. Just wanted to let you guys know. I haven't chosen a fundraiser yet. I have a couple that I'm looking at. I know that I need to talk to a couple of my friends who might be helping before I decide. But we're definitely going to do one, and it's definitely going to be Friday. So I am looking forward to that. Hey, y'all, look at my shirt I got at Five Below this week. It said today's Wednesday. So anyways, Delphi. There has been so much talk since the defense put out this 140-some page memorandum with some pretty wild claims, and the state has responded. They filed an objection. That's why it says objection on my title. That's what it says. So we're going to look at some of that. I've actually looked at it, but I haven't close. I just skimmed it, and I thought we would look at it together. Did I go swimming this morning? No. Why do you ask that? What? Because of my shorts? Or I don't know. I do have on some really weird looking shorts. Hey, Clicker. Good morning from Alaska. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off and pull up, hey, Lawnerd Amber, and pull up my Facebook because I wanted to show you a few different things. I've grabbed a bunch. Like you guys know, before a live, I'll go through TikTok, Facebook. I've got a couple articles for us to look at. We have a lot to look at. Also, few of my friends have been covering this, and they've been doing an excellent job. So if you aren't following them, I'm going to drop some links right now. ATS News, Criminality, Crime Curious, Melissa Jade, and they've been doing a really good job as well. So let me. Hey, Connor. Before we get into this response and some of that, I wanted to look at a photo of this with you guys. And I think Amber said she showed this last night. I was there, but I missed a good portion of her live. But this is Richard Allen before his arrest, at his arrest and now. And I think that it is so interesting to see this. Engaging lurk mode while I switch and fold. All right, Heather. Tiff, let me see what you said. Why did you ask if I was going swimming? Red cheeks. Probably just too much blush. Yeah, probably that. I wish it was still warm enough to go swimming. I'm so sad over summer being over. Okay. Let me see what you guys say about this picture before we move on. Hey, True Crime Crazy. I know, KK. I mean, something is definitely happening. Chopper CDT is still around. She's still around a little bit. She's taken a little break, I think, from YouTube. True crime crazy. I hope that you're feeling all right today. Tiff, you know I can get heavy-handed with the makeup. It's 97 degrees here. Come take it. I'm over the heat. Oh my gosh. I hope winter is short too. Okay, so these are just some pictures that I saved. Keegan Klein. This is the one. I linked the actual objection, but first we're going to look at this article. It's because there's only a very few channels that stick with the facts and not go overboard with the information. Well, you definitely have to use your discernment when watching YouTube at all for true crime, because there is a lot of chaos and a lot of craziness that gets mixed in. Hello, Annie. Hola. So, prosecutor in Delphi murders case responds to ritualistic sacrifice claim and other recent court filings. The prosecutor in the Delphi murders case is responding to a series of new court filings from the suspect's defense team. According to our sister station, WTHR, Carroll County prosecutor Nicholas McLeland is defending an October 2022 search warrant served by investigators at the home of Richard Allen, and is also strongly arguing against cameras in the courtroom during proceedings in the case. Richard Allen was arrested last October, and he was charged with the February 2017 murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. The case has garnered national attention since their bodies were found near the Delphi Monon High Bridge on Valentine's Day of 2017, one day after they went missing. Richard Allen's attorney submitted a 136-page filing last week outlining why they believe the girls were ritualistically sacrificed by members of a pagan Norse religion and white nationalist group called Odinism. They also leveled accusations against lead detectives of ignoring or intentionally suppressing that evidence for years. McLeland wrote, "The state believes the allegations made by Allen's defense, quote, are not supported by evidence that they have collected, unquote, and says they are, quote, colorful, dramatic, and highly unprofessional, unquote." McLeland also wrote that the defense's document to support search warrant evidence only contained 13 pages relevant, and the remaining 90% of the memorandum outlines its fanciful defense for social media to devour. Hey, Angie. Angie, as soon as I get off of this, I will look for that. And if I have it, I'll send it. I was going to say that when I told you when I got home, because I had a live, and really this was the only opportunity I had to do it because I have to go get Trenton from ball in a little bit. But I will definitely look for that and get it right over to you. Very careful who I watch. I have to be learned from Melissa and Alex. Let's see. Hello from Wild Ireland. Hey, Thomas. Sorry, you guys. My mom's right at the steps. MB Gal, thanks for the memberships. You're so welcome, Angie. Okay, I thought Richard wanted cameras. Oh, he does, but the state does not. We're going to get into that. So October 2022 search warrant. So, okay, let's just take a pause for a minute and say, prosecution says that this 136-page memorandum is colorful, dramatic, and highly unprofessional. That is a direct quote, and we're going to look at what they filed. They also said that 90% of it outlines its fanciful defense for social media to devour. They are very aware that social media is keeping a close eye, First live I have been on and now a member. Aw, I love all you guys and appreciate you. And thank you guys. Hey, Chris. I knew what you meant, headphones. Oh, thank you, Claus, for gifting those. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Welcome, you guys. Okay, I had to get my phone out so I could see the chat. All right, let's keep reading. So, Richard Allen's attorneys claimed in a filing earlier this month that the search warrant was issued without probable cause and claimed the search was unconstitutional. They claim Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett made false and misleading representations with a reckless disregard for the truth to the judge who issued the warrant. McLeland responded to these allegations, saying Sheriff Tony Liggett did not intentionally or recklessly omit evidence or lie about evidence in the probable cause affidavit or lie about evidence to support the search warrant. Instead, McLeland says police use information gathered by law enforcement and statements by Allen and his own wife. Prosecutors also say they believed Allen might destroy crucial evidence if that warrant wasn't issued. Now, we're going to look at the paperwork that was filed in a second. Broadcasting proceedings. Allen's attorneys also filed a motion earlier this month to allow cameras in the courtroom during any future court appearances, including his trial. So Richard Allen's attorneys want cameras. They want us to see. And with all the claims they've made, I want us to see. I'm sorry, but I think they need cameras. At this point, we need to be able to see exactly what is going on. And it's really interesting that the prosecution does not agree. So Allen's attorneys pointed to the attention the case is getting nationally and around the globe in the motion. It also points to Judge Fran Gull, the special judge assigned to this case out of Carroll County, having taken part in a pilot program in 2021 on cameras in the courtroom, which reportedly found photojournalists were, quote, professional in their coverage and presence. In a response filed Monday, the state is expressing serious concerns about allowing proceedings in the case to be broadcast. Prosecutors say it runs the risk of creating a circus atmosphere both in person and online. That is a quote. Prosecutors think cameras will create a circus atmosphere both in person and online. Prosecutors also say evidence to the public, quote, allows for the potential of members of the public seeing gruesome images of the deaths of two little girls, while also seeing the toll that it takes on the family to see this tragedy play out in court, unquote. Well, that's not necessarily true. They can always adjust the cameras when photos are showed and things like that. According to WTHR, the prosecutor's office also filed a document titled Motion for All Future Pleadings and Filings to be Sealed for the court's review before being released to the public. Prosecution is not happy the public got their hands on this defense memorandum. They've also sought medical records of Richard Allen's. Here we have Richard Allen, looks like a completely different man, completely different. Let me take you back just for a second. You see him there. Now look, this is Richard Allen before he was arrested, okay? And here is another image of Richard Allen before he was arrested that his wife had posted. And you can see the sketch, the Delphi sketch in the background. And then we see what he looks like now. And I do think that you can obviously, see with your own eyes that he's deteriorating. The reason why, I don't know, but he certainly is deteriorating. Okay, so now this is the state's response. Let me check the comments for a second because I can't see while we're reading this stuff. Just so you guys know. Like the other night, I went back and rewatched my stream on Letitia and read the comments that I missed. I don't like to miss a lot of comments and stuff. And I actually did miss a couple new members and a super chat and gifted members from Nay and a super chat from Pointer Lover and a couple new ones. And I felt really bad. So I do apologize, you guys, for that. But when we're reading something, you can't see the chat at all. It's like my entire screen is just what's in this box. So that man looks damn near dead. Depression. Hey, Music City Mom. Sealed for what? It's the secrecy for me. I don't like it either. I don't. And I think at this point, things need to be out in the open. It's already a circus, too late. And that's thanks to this document they released. Well, I think that's kind of what they're saying. See, typically, I'm usually on the side of the prosecution. But I believe the defense has raised reasonable doubt for sure. And I think that things need to be very transparent with this case, with the accusations that are being made. Especially with the defendant asking for cameras. And like in Idaho, they're asking not to have cameras. Well, in Chad Daybell's case, they also want cameras because they want transparency. And I think that is really interesting. I saw that, Tim. Brooks Houck was arrested today for, was it Crystal Rogers? It's a case from like 2015. Hey, this Mel, good to see you. Hey, Jax. They make the circus worse with secrecy. Music City Mom, let me just take a second to talk about my friend Nay for a minute, which she hates when we do this because she don't want to take away the attention from what we're talking about, but I want to for just a minute. Nay, I love her so much. She's good to the core. So first, let me say, like, supporting a small business of a really awesome human is just the way to go in itself. But Nay has a company called Music Melts, and she makes wax melts, and they are, every single like scent is, there's a song referenced and kind of, I don't know. She does a great job. Please go check out her website. She also has a YouTube channel. I'm going to drop her link right now. I have a code where you can get 20% off with the code Tie-Dyed Kindness. And that's not like me making anything. So I'm not promoting it. I don't get $1. It's just, that's not why I'm telling you. I just truly believe in her and her products. And I think that you guys would love them. So if you have not checked them out, please go check them out. She does a great job. See, the melts will change your life, darling. And Tim says, I love talking about Nay's melts. My house smells delightful, very cozy and fall-like. She does an excellent job, and she works her booty off. So please go check them out if you like that kind of thing. Hey, Brandy. Hello, Christine G. That's me. If I got framed and thrown in prison for a double murder I'm being framed for, I'd slide also, allegedly. I know. I'm wondering, they really do. See, no. They really have raised some reasonable doubt for me. Raising reasonable doubt is defense's job, and they have succeeded for sure in this case. I appreciate the ability to be open-minded here. You've got a great community, Alex. Thank you, Leonard Amber. Well, that's all you guys, you guys are what makes it all so special. Oh, I sent Angie some recently, by the way. She loved them. They smell amazing. I'm glad you loved them, Angie. Hey, Lori. Also, Lori's. She sells Beard Balm. I'm going to drop that link as well. If any of you guys have a husband who uses that kind of stuff. Oh, you're so welcome, Angie. We miss you, Wolfie. I hope you feel better. It's like getting a present in the mail. It is every single, she just goes beyond with her packaging and stuff. Finally tried them and will never buy anywhere else. Oh, I'm so glad that you guys love them. Okay. Now back to Delphi. I'm sorry. I just want to take a second to talk about that. Kokomo said, I've had my doubts from the beginning. Sarah says, I also love Lori's Beard Balm. Indiana is not used to cameras in the courtroom. If it were held in Marion County, I could see the possibility of cameras in the courtroom. Any smaller cities outside of Indianapolis, unlikely. My dad spent 2 years in prison. Granted, he was guilty, but he lost 80 pounds and aged 10 years. Wow, that's interesting. I don't think he was framed. I believe he was there and he was bridge guy, but that doesn't mean he wasn't part of a bigger gang of thugs. Hey, Tony. She said beard bongs. Beard balm. She sells beer bongs. Like, if you want to get wasted fast, check them out. No. Okay. State's second objection to defendant's motion to suppress. Now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas McLeland and reasonably objects to the defendant's amended motion to suppress and would ask the court to deny the same, and in support of said motion states the following. 1. On May 19th, the defendant filed a motion to suppress the evidence seized as a result of the search warrant executed on the home of the defendant. 2. On September 13th, they filed a motion to suppress the evidence seized as a result of the search warrant executed on the home of the defendant. 3. The defense alleges that the search warrant is unconstitutional because the issuance of the search warrant was a result of an improper ex parte application in that the affiant, Sheriff Tony Liggett, failed to advise the affiant, I don't know how to say that word, you guys, I'm sorry, failed to advise the judge of material faces and made false and misleading representations with reckless disregard for the truth, and that without these false and misleading representations and omissions, the search warrant would not have been issued. Number 4, this is commonly referred to as a Franks versus Delaware argument. Number 5, too bad Crime Curious doesn't have a go to sleep with me on the state's response, and maybe she will soon. And also, I saw that there were 2 member milestones. Thank you, Richie, for being a member for 4 months. Baby is 4 months old. Hey, West Virginia mama, thank you for being a member for 2 months. Okay. Number 5, that per the Franks case, the defense's attack must be based on deliberate falsehood or acts of reckless disregard for the truth, and those allegations must be accompanied by an offer of proof. That the claim should point out specifically the portion of the warrant affidavit that is claimed to be false, accompanied by a statement of supporting reasons. That further, this should be supported by affidavits or sworn statements or other reliable statements from witnesses or an explanation for their absence. Number 6, that the defense has filed such a memorandum outlining their beliefs of what was omitted and false. Number 7, that once again, while the memorandum is colorful, dramatic, and highly unprofessional, it is not completely true. Number 8, the state believes the allegations outlined by the defense are not supported by evidence that they have collected. Number 9, Sheriff Tony Liggett did not intentionally or recklessly omit evidence or lie about evidence in the probable cause affidavit to support the search warrant. So the prosecution ain't having it at all, honey. They ain't having it at all. Oh, there's Crime Curious. Hey, duly noted. We need the state's response, and I'll send you this article so if you don't have it yet. Hey, Mr. Tomato Head. I haven't been able to find any of the new Crime Curious videos. Here, Tim, I will share I'm going to share the link for you guys to the defense's memorandum. She read the entire document. One sec, and then we'll continue on. So this is so interesting. They're not having it at all. Okay, not at all. Let's see, share, copy. This is her exact video that I'm talking about, where she does the read through of the memorandum. And then the Nightbot just dropped her channel and her website. Neat noodle. Not yet. We're just getting into it. So basically the prosecution has responded and they ain't having it, honey. Not at all. They said it's colorful, dramatic, highly unprofessional, and not completely true, what came out in the defense's memorandum. They also said it's not supported by evidence, and that Tony Liggett did not intentionally or recklessly lie about evidence or omit evidence. So it's going to be a smackdown when this go to trial. I know. I agree. I cannot wait. I would love to see you have a channel, Tiff. Hey, sweet Melissa. They ain't having it, honey. I call bull, says sweet Melissa. Music City Mom. Is it possible to get records from a crime that happened many years ago? My brother-in-law was in a pizza shop. 2 people came in and robbed the place. They then shot and killed 2 people. Yeah, absolutely. Now, every state's different, but you would just request it from the courthouse and do a records request. Especially if the case is closed, I would think you could get most of all of it. I remember when we did the background check on Candace and Dawn, there were some charges that came up from Wisconsin on Candace and also on her ex-husband, even though recently people have said there's no charges on him at that time. That's a lie. I found multiple charges against him at that time. But we took those numbers and went to the state of Wisconsin's website, typed in each case number, and we were able to get tons of information. So it just depends. Like every state has different websites. Some of them are easy to deal with, some of them aren't, but you could definitely do it. Nashville, he had to go to court for several people's trials. Oh yeah, absolutely. They ain't having a honey. Nay, she sounds like Tiff Moore. Think the defense could have made their point without being so graphic. The point was the Frank's hearing. Drive safe, Curious Jen. Okay. Number 10, the defense also alleges that the search warrant was unreasonable under the Indiana and federal constitution in that it lacked probable cause, that it failed to establish that the items to be seized were in the residence or could be expected to be in the residence, that the affidavit failed to provide particular information that particular items related to the particular crime would be found in the home, and that the affidavit failed to connect generic items to actual items that were possibly used in the crime. Number 11, that in September 2022, while reviewing the evidence in the investigation into the murders of Abby and Libby, investigators discovered an interview that was done with Richard Allen in 2017 by Indiana Conservation Officer Dan Doolin. That in the 2017 interview, Richard admitted to being on the trail that day, the day that Abby and Libby went missing. 13, he stated he was on the trail between 1:30 and 3:30, and that while he was on the trail, he was using his phone. Number 14, on October 13th, 2022, investigators invited Richard Allen and his wife, Kathy, to speak to them and follow up on that interview done in 2017. Number 15, both Richard and Kathy came to the interview on their own on October 13th. They were not under arrest and were free to leave the interview at any time. I tell you guys what I'm going to do, though, just for anybody who wants to read this later or wants to have the documents, I'm going to drop them in the chat right now. So there's a link from my account, a scribed link, and it's in the chat. So anybody curious, Jen, so you can read us to sleep with them. If anybody needs them, there you go. And also I can send it privately as well. But hey, Riddler. Hey, Humanimal. And ever since he has not spoken of it to friends, family, colleagues, law enforcement. Okay. Number 16, investigators learned from those interviews that Richard Allen reaffirmed that he was in fact on the trails the day that Abigail and Liberty went missing, and further admitted to being on the High Bridge. Number 17, he told investigators that he was wearing blue jeans and a blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hood, and that he was wearing a head covering. Number 18, that further Richard stated that he did own guns and that the guns were in his home. Number 19, that investigators learned from Kathy that Richard Allen still had guns and knives in the home along with a blue Carhartt jacket. Number 20, investigators believed a firearm was involved in the abduction and murder of Abby and Libby because an unspent .40 caliber round was found between the bodies of Abby and Libby. Number 21, that investigators believed a knife was used in the murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Number 22, that the clothes that Richard Allen described wearing the day he was on the trails matched the description of the man seen on the bridge from the video taken by Liberty German's phone. 23, that it was also gathered that Richard Allen still possessed the firearms, knives, and the clothing, and said items were in his house. 24, that based on this information, investigators prepared a probable cause affidavit with a search warrant for the home of Richard Allen. 25, the probable cause affidavit covers all the information that law enforcement had gathered in the investigation in regards to Richard Allen up until the 13th of October, 2022. 26, the probable cause affidavit outlines evidence that established probable cause to search the home of Richard Allen. 27, investigators applied for the search warrant on October 13th at the same time. and the same was granted that day by Carroll County Circuit Court Judge Benjamin Diener. Investigators went to the residence of the defendant, knocked on the door, and executed the warrant on October 13th. Number 29, the defendant and his wife were asked to be out of the residence while the search warrant was executed, but they were allowed back in immediately afterwards. Investigators found several items in the residence, including a .40 caliber firearm and electronic devices, all of which were outlined in the search warrant return. That for a search warrant to be valid, it must be accompanied by an affidavit that establishes probable cause, which is a sufficient basis of fact that exists to permit a reasonably prudent person to believe that a search of the premises will uncover evidence of a crime. Number 32. Wait, hold on just a second. Hey, Lori. Hey, Midwest Mima. Oh, thank you, Sexy Wild Thing, Carol Freaking Claus. And welcome, you guys. Meta Mom, Mandy, TNT, Angie, Jack's Minima. Jack, I cannot say your name. I'm so sorry. And Sweet Melissa. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And welcome, you guys. Hey, Danielle. Sexy Wild Thing, you are awesome. Thank you. Okay. 32. Indiana Code 353352 specifies the minimum information necessary to establish probable cause, which is as follows. Information particularly describing the house or place to be searched and the things to be searched for. Information alleging substantially the offense in relation thereto, and that the affiant believes and has good cause to believe that the things sought are concealed in that place and that they are attempting to search, or the person to be arrested committed the offense described. And C, information setting forth the facts known to the affiant through personal knowledge or based on hearsay. Number 33, that under the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, the evidence needed to obtain a warrant need not rise to the statute of facts necessary to obtain a conviction. The circumstances alleged in the affidavit need to only lead a person of reasonable caution to believe that a crime has been committed. And we've talked about this a lot with Idaho, you guys. It doesn't have to, the burden of proof is nowhere near as high in the beginning, right? And it slowly becomes more and more as time goes on to the point of beyond a reasonable doubt during a trial. Number 34, when the sufficiency of the search warrant is challenged under the Fourth Amendment by the defendant, as it is in the defendant's motion, the role of the reviewing court is to simply ensure that there was a substantial basis for finding probable cause, reminding itself that it owes great deference to the initial probable cause determination and will not invalidate a warrant by interpreting probable cause affidavits in a hyper-technical rather than a common sense manner. Then they say under Article 1, Section 11 of the Indiana Constitution, the reasonableness of the search is determined by using the Litchfield test, which looks at the totality of the circumstances and requires consideration of both the degree of intrusion into the subject's ordinary lives or ordinary activities and the basis upon which the officer selected the subject of the search or seizure. 36, that the inquiry requires a balancing of the degree of concern, suspicion, or knowledge that a violation has occurred, the degree of intrusion, the method of the search or seizure imposes on the citizen's ordinary activities, and the extent of law enforcement needs. So they have to balance those three things. They have to balance the suspicion or knowledge that a crime has occurred, how much this is going to intrude on these people's lives, and what exactly law enforcement needs to prove their case. They have to balance it all. So 37, the state believes that the affidavit does meet the threshold to establish probable cause under the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, and that there was a substantial basis for finding probable cause, and there was a high likelihood based on the evidence that investigators had that there was evidence of the crime in the home of Richard Allen. Number 38, that the state believes that the affidavit accompanied with the search warrant for the home of Richard Allen does establish probable cause under Article 1, Section 11 of the Indiana Constitution and does pass the Litchfield test for reasonableness under the totality of circumstances. Number 39, that the state believes that the affidavit establishes the items to be seized were in the residence by statements made by Richard and his wife. But, I mean, it is really interesting that the defense claims that, they have this bullet that was shot into the ground, that they don't have even photos of the bullet, that kind of thing. I don't know. Let me see what you guys think. Hey, King Raku. My phone is shattered, and I can only see half my screen, and the non-viewable half only works for touch. Thank you, Claus, and thank you. Happy to be here. Glad you're here, Meta Mom. I think the police found Richard Allen on the phone and then used it to connect it to BH's voice down the hill. Just my opinion. Crystal Rogers, yes, Humanimal. We were talking about that just briefly a second ago. It is amazing news. See, I don't know too much about that case. Hey, Kay in Maine. She says, I think RA could be being set up. BH's voice sounds very much like Down the Hill, and Essie looks like the younger sketch too. The state believes that the affidavit establishes the items to be seized were in the residence by statements made by Richard and his wife. We read that. I'm sorry. The state believes that the affidavit provides particular information that particular items related to a particular crime will be found in the home based on the statements by Richard and his wife. The state believes the affidavit connects generic items to actual items that were possibly used in the crime based on the investigators' evidence that they gathered throughout the investigation. So this is the thing that for me. So what? Richard Allen and his wife, he said he was on the trail, right? On this day. He came in for an interview. Him and his wife admitted they had guns in the home. Okay. That's basically what they're saying, that was enough to lead to the search warrant to find out if the guns could have been the gun that might have potentially been used, because they don't even know for sure if he used a gun, right? So as far as we know, based on what we have heard of the video, because we really don't know, there's a lot more that the public hasn't heard. 42, the evidence that was gathered in 2017 was reaffirmed by the interview done with Richard and Kathy. Investigators believed at that time that they had enough probable cause to apply for a search warrant. Investigators also believed that if they did not execute a search warrant immediately, that there was a danger the defendant would destroy crucial evidence in the investigation. So you don't think by now, 2022, he would have destroyed it already, right? I don't know. I would, but maybe not. The investigators believed through their training and experience that there was a real chance he could destroy evidence once he knew he was a suspect in the crime. Wherefore, the state has shown that the actions by the officers were valid and justified and did not violate the defendant's Fourth Amendment under the U.S. Constitution or Article 1, Section 11 of the Indiana Constitution, and therefore the motion to suppress should be denied. Respectfully submitted. 1 second, you guys. I have a little rascal. Okay. In my opinion, I feel they were unalived in the river for lack of blood evidence. That would, that would be a theory that would make sense for lack of blood evidence. I mean, there were a lot of people out there searching that day, right? And you would think that they would have tried to really look at everything. I would think if it would have taken place like somewhere else, let's say 50 yards away or whatever, that they would have found evidence of that. The police, using RA walking on the bridge and using BH's voice as bridge guy, explains why RA's DNA wasn't found at the scene. I think he's been set up. That's pretty weak to get a search warrant. I agree. I completely agree. That's what I was thinking, even just reading it. Like, huh? I guess. Hey, Leo. Crazy day. Off to bed. Well, close your pretty little eyes and get some rest. Tim Gray, I live in Louisville. I know all about it. Is that where the Crystal Rogers took place? I thought the lack of blood was due to them using it for making the rune marks and maybe other stuff. I was muted. I'm so sorry. Where'd you go? Muted. Sorry, you guys. Did y'all hear me at all? I said goodnight to you, Leo. You said you were laying down. I think so too. River could be where it happened. Clothing found there too. How do we know a bullet was planted there to pin him? I thought the lack of blood was due to them making the rune marks. I'm sorry, you guys. It would not. It's been a while since I've muted like during a live like that. So sorry. Elaine, your mic. My main goal is they prosecute, convict, and put away whoever is responsible. I was thinking they drain the blood and use it in a ritual. Well, to me, the fact that they don't want cameras is suspicious. I grabbed what I was saying was I grabbed just a couple TikToks for us to look at together that are just clips. Like this was, hold on. And we've looked at some of it, but.
The other interesting thing about these sticks, they did not collect them when they collected evidence from the crime scene.
Whoa, slow down. Sticks are placed on the bodies of the two victims here, and they're not collected as evidence?
They were not collected as evidence until several weeks later. The other interesting thing about these.
I just find that so interesting. Why wouldn't they? I feel the voices on the phone are the same person. Crumbs. He admits to being in the park during that time. Only one adult male seen in the park by witnesses. He admits to being on the bridge and admits to wearing the same clothes as bridge guy. That's true. He admits that he has a blue jacket, a blue Carhartt, right? He admits that he was wearing a face covering on that day. He admits that he has firearms in his house. Runes are carved into the wood or stone, not stacking sticks. Well, I think that they did, put one supposedly in blood on the tree. However, they made the same designs with sticks. The interesting thing is, though, they weren't just sticks that were just broken. And Amber mentioned this last night. Her and I had talked about this a little bit privately. They said in the defense's motion these sticks were like cleanly cut, right? So that brings a whole nother element. You have been on a nice little mute-free streak. We have to start a counter like they do with accidents on the job. It's been one day since major accident over here. Norse mythology, call it what you want, did not do human sacrifices, animal sacrifices. Yes, not the sticks. It might be Libby who put the mark of the tree. She had blood on her hand, on her body and hands and feet. The mark was 4 feet up. She may have had hands at throat, then staggered, leaned on tree, and fell down. That's possible. And I heard, people saying, could it have been spatter of some sort? The audio of RA on the skylift and the audio from Libby sound the same. I remember when he was arrested, like people comparing different audio. I love when Alex mutes herself. I'm sorry. We should do a counter. That's pretty funny. It is hilarious. They're like Nordic pagans or something, a weird mixture of different things. You know how that is so true. You know how people cherry pick what they do and don't want, and that happens with many religions. The bullet was found the same day as the bodies. Ellie didn't have access to his gun until years later. How could Ellie plant a bullet from his gun? That's a good question, but is it possible it was there for another reason? I don't know. But the time he stated he was there is different than what the guy that interviewed him stated. I didn't even pick up on that clause. That's a good one. This is why you need to start putting these thoughts out into the world, ma'am. It may have been found 4 days later. Okay, so let me go to the next TikTok. Tickety top.
Do you want to overanalyze some photos with me? Okay. In this picture, we have Richard Allen on the right. He is the main suspect in the Delphi, Indiana murders. In the middle, we have what we call Bridge Guy. Bridge Guy was the man, it is believed, who murdered 2 young girls. He was caught on camera as he approached the girls. On the left, we have Brad Holder. Brad Holder is a man that the defense of Richard Allen is pointing the finger at. They're claiming he should be a suspect in the murders. They have, a lot of different reasons they claim. It is believed that Brad is a member of some sort of pagan group called Odinism. And it is also believed that Brad's son had allegedly dated Abby before she was murdered. I just find it bizarre that these 2 men look so much alike and that they both look like they could be Bridge Guy.
Ooh, it is bizarre. Look, they both have the same long chin hair, which don't do that. I don't know. That's just not my style. Whatever. Anyways, they do have the same kind of beard. Hey, Butterfly Angel. Neat Noodle says it's all super interesting, but I've decided to not to get my undies in a bundle yet and wait for the trial. If it was a pagan Nordic cult, they would have known that the number 13 is considered unlucky in Nordic beliefs and mythology. MK says, if your intention is to hide bodies, you would fully cover them in brush, not lightly cover them in meticulously placed fresh cut sticks. So I think there is some validity to what the defense is saying. Well, I think the fact that the defense has multiple law enforcement officers who feel that this particular direction was not explored enough is very interesting to me, and I just think it's a big deal for this defense attorney to put all of this out there. A lot of these folks, this is kind of could be career ruining or career building, things that they're doing. So he says, I was leaving, but if it was RA that was seen by the girls at Freedom and by Betty near a bridge, timing says he was arriving, not leaving. The bullet is not strong evidence. Going to be experts testifying to this. I mean, look here. If the bullet is strong evidence, then that damn DNA on that knife sheath with Brian Koberger should be very strong evidence, right? I don't know. Very bizarre. is that picture of Richard Allen on the right from 2017. That was when he was first arrested. So 2022, I think. The bullet could have been from anyone. It wasn't used. There was a lot of stuff. I saw that, Shauna. We went through some of it. Hey, Chrissy. He may have started to cover their bodies and then been disturbed by noise. That's possible. Hey, Elizabeth. Girl, I get those too. Like every, few weeks, all of a sudden I'll reach down on my chin and I'll have like this 2-inch long one hair that's sticking out, like, and I got to pluck it. And then all of a sudden it pops back up, Did anyone see True Crime Series with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey? Their case involved murders that had religious stick art. No, I didn't, Salmonella. Why not collect the sticks? That girl, James. But, I mean, how do they figure they share no evidence? They gave all the evidence, did they not? Who do you mean, that girl, James? If I do get a beer bong from Lloyd. That was pretty funny. I always thought our voices are unique like our fingerprints. Can they not use technology to compare the recording in RA's voice? Tara, maybe we'll see some of that in trial. I'm going to keep playing this for y'all.
Saying Brad's the bridge guy, but I'm saying, what are the chances that these two men look so similar? It has been said that bridge guy was about 5'10" or under 5'10", according to witnesses. The defense is pointing that out because Richard Allen reportedly is 5'4". Back to the bridge guy photos. It has been long known that the images were edited before they were released to the public. A lot of people think that one of the girls was actually in this photo, maybe on the right-hand side, and that they removed her. They believe maybe some transposing of things, but nonetheless, I have always been fascinated with what I think I see in this picture. Does it not look right there that maybe they blurred out a logo on that jacket? Here, a lot of people debate about what's coming out of the bottom of his jacket.
If it was a Carhartt jacket, it would have that logo there, right? And many people have speculated he had something in his jacket for years. Just wait, I'm now growing a beard like a man. Hey, chitty chatty Meg. Doesn't explain the antler type branches above Abby's head though. 5 years can make a difference, hippie chick. I agree. Thank you, Shay Benet. Shay says, sent you some photos to your YouTube, Facebook Messenger, back to work. Bye. All right, we'll go look at those right now because these are just like, they're interesting TikToks, but nothing new. He lied in his second interview. The group of teenagers saw him coming into the park as they were leaving the park, and they took a timestamp picture at 1:30 shortly before seeing him. Elizabeth. Prosecutors, never give all evidence for search warrants. We have between 3 to 10% of information. You are absolutely correct. And, I think that more people don't really realize that. In a probable cause warrant, or a search warrant, either one, you're just getting a very small amount of evidence. They save a lot for the trial. Just for instance, if you followed Letitia's case from the beginning and not just came into it during the trial, you would know that 90% of what came out at the trial was not known. Many of those things had never been shared online, even to Gannon's own parents. They tried, but experts said they didn't have a long enough comparison for forensic comparison of voices. I do too, Kokomo. I'd love to see the whole 41 seconds. I always side with the prosecution, but BH and SE are the killers in my opinion. K, I usually side with them as well. And this one, I don't know. How active is this location? How many people look alike that went to the bridge at that same time? I'm not sure. Hey, Thistle. Okay, let's see what Shay sent us. Just a minute. Okay. First is this. Items collected from the search warrant, October 13th. They got one black .40 caliber handgun, a black .40 caliber Smith & Wesson cartridge box on bedroom dresser, keepsake box on bedroom, from a keepsake box on the bedroom dresser, one .40 caliber Smith & Wesson cartridge from inside a Sig Sauer, 2 magazines containing .40 caliber cartridges, multiple sweatshirts, jackets, hats, gloves, boots, numerous knives, multi-tools, multiple laptops, multiple hard drives, multiple flash drives and memory cards, multiple cell phones, cutting off carpeted area underneath the spare tire of a Ford Focus, swabs of driver lap belt and driver shoulder belt on Ford Focus, 2 swabs from passenger side of carpeted floorboards. State's response, this is what I was looking for a moment ago about the cameras. They said allowing cameras in such highly publicized and sensational case runs the risk. Wait, we actually, I think, read this, but I thought there was more on the cameras that wasn't in that response, and I might be wrong. But okay, it says, again, allowing cameras in such highly publicized and sensationalized case runs the risk of creating circus atmosphere both in person and online, where 15-second clips taken out of context can race around the world in seconds, giving an inaccurate impression of the actual evidence and conduct of court proceedings. And that is so true. Yeah, and well, a lot of evidence isn't in yet either at that time. Like a lot of DNA evidence and stuff takes some time to get back. And you're right. They continue to investigate up until, before, like, I think it's 10 days before the trial in a lot of states that they have to have all the discovery turned in. Exactly. They now have access to their belongings, electronics, house, all of that. Hey, Justice Jane. Okay, MB Gal. All very generic stuff that everybody has. That's okay, Shay. I like to go through. It's interesting, so thank you. Think there's a big cover-up going on. Scary to think about. 4 young girls were killed in a house fire before Abby and Libby were killed. I'm just learning about that. Is that the Flora fires? Here is a Facebook or Reddit summary. Leaker, from a leaker that was put, leaker. That was put out in 2021. So this is interesting. Let's see what's correct and what's wrong that we know now, if there is any. The crime. It is believed Libby was the target. On one of their recordings, the girls make mention they could be being followed. Once BG was approaching them, they didn't want to go on the bridge at the same time for the fear of falling and waiting until he got to their side. Liberty was recording when he mentions he saw them trespassing and they're going to be arrested. The girls can be heard saying to release them and they won't return. I wonder if that's true. Let me look at the crime scene because this was stuff posted on Reddit in 2021. The crime scene. It is not believed the girls knew the suspect. The audio doesn't depict that. Ooh, it says the crime scene was religious in nature. Hair was removed from both victims. It had sexual aspects, but it's not believed the girls were assaulted by the perpetrator himself. They were possibly left in a sexual position. No fingerprints at the immediate crime scene. The blood at the scene indicates the murder took place there as well, so that's incorrect. It is interesting, though, and I've heard that there was speculation that there was religious aspects to this crime very early on. Ooh. Probable cause. Okay, so this person, I believe, was going through the defense's memorandum. So these are things taken from the memorandum. But Shay shared these earlier with us, and this is kind of interesting to look at. So I'll read through it with you guys. Mr. Tomato Head, not like right accessible, but I will get it. Not easily accessible right here on my computer. Oh, welcome, Pretty Bug's Tail. Thank you for joining. Lee Kerr is just another stir. Oh, thank you, Sexy Wild Thing Claws. Thank you so much. Holder is an Odin worshiper. All right, now this is from the defense memorandum. Richard was on the trail sometime between 1:30 and 3:30. He admitted to being there between 12 and 1:30. The red is added from someone else. Richard owns a blue coat. Richard owns guns. He admitted to wear a blue or black jacket, top two colors of all men's jackets. That's a good point. Richard owns guns, and an unspent bullet was found buried and in the dirt near the bodies. Richard owns knives. Okay. Liggett's claim while withholding key evidence that a black Ford Focus was parked at the CPS building between 1:30 and 4. A non-black 1965 comment was there at 2:15. Any others? Let's see. DNA is not a match. Okay, so they make quotes from other people, like they have so much evidence on him. They never show all their cards in the arrest warrant. We've talked about that so much. We know that is true. DNA is not a match. This person claims no incriminating cell data, no incriminating computer data. Well, we don't know that for certain, but based on the defense's memorandum, I think that they write here. Part 5, Richard Allen has no ties to Odinism or any religious cult and has no ties to the crime scene. Okay, so in the defense's memorandum, they say Tony Liggett has testified under oath there is no DNA linking Richard Allen to the crime scene. Liggett further testified he is unaware of anything that links Richard to the scene through his phone, computers, or electronics. Liggett has further testified that he is unaware of any evidence that links Richard to any weird religious cult group. Now, if you guys are on the side of things that you believe that Richard Allen is part of this, but it was multiple people, I would think that there would be some sort of evidence, that Richard Allen was looking into these groups, was investigating about them, was trying to learn, I would just think there would be evidence, right, of that in his electronics and stuff. Jerry Holman has testified to the following. There is no DNA linking Richard Allen to the crime scene. No data extracted from Richard's phone connects him to the murders. No data extracted from Libby's phone connected Richard to the murders. There is no evidence that Richard Allen is or was connected to any other suspects in the case. There is no evidence found on social media that connects Richard to the murders. There is no evidence extracted from Richard's computers that connects him to the murders. There is no fingerprint evidence that connects Richard Allen to the murders. This section is very short because there is simply no evidence linking Richard Allen to the murders. I gotta know what you guys think about all of that. Let me see. Oh, welcome, Sean. Thank you, Shauna, for being a member for 2 months. And I appreciate that so much. Oh, thank you, Shabanae. These images came from Unraveling YouTube channel. Show me a man that doesn't own at least one knife or one pew-pew. The original tip Richard Allen gave to DNR officers was misfiled as Richard Allen Whiteman. That was a clerical error because he lived on Whiteman Drive. No cell phone pings from his phone. Well, I think that they know he pinged there, right? Because he admitted to being there. But I think they're saying there's no other evidence on the phone. Hey, Meatfoot. My husband doesn't own any knives or guns. I think that's possible, but apparently nothing on his phones. I agree, MK. It's very common. Yes, Jessica, agree. We also don't know if some of Ellie is a part of this religious group trying to set him up. The Unraveling YouTube document takes the position on ignoring Odinism and looking at these facts in the document. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yes, he did, MB Gal. On April 3rd, 2023, Richard Allen made a phone call to his wife. The court documents read, in that phone call, Richard admits several times he killed Abby and Libby. Correct, but his defense is arguing that he was potentially, possibly could have been forced to do so, right? Or there's other reasons to why he would do that. And if it is true, and I hope that they have some sort of evidence to prove their claims that some of these men in the jail are part of this Odinist and have these Hell Odin patches like they talk about in the memorandum, and those patches mysteriously disappeared from their uniforms once they knew that the defense was onto this. I want to see proof of that. Hey, Peaky. Hey, Melinda. Hey, Marcus. When you look at the phone ID, it is an MEI, not IMEI. Does that mean burner phone and police too late to be able to get data from it? Shoot, girl, I know. I don't know about that stuff at all. Let me see if there was any other pictures she sent. Thank you, Shay Benet. Let me tell y'all what. Shay digs. She digs. She posted this. Part 5 will include information, which is what we just saw, but let's read the intro to that. Part 5 will include information concerning how Richard became a patsy in this investigation 26 days before an election. This section will include information that Liggett failed to provide in his search warrant affidavit concerning the trustworthiness of Dan Doolin's so-called report. Part 5 will also address the complete lack of evidence that linked Richard Allen to the murders, including an analysis of the weak evidence that Liggett relied on in his affidavit as he attempted to persuade Judge Diener that evidence of the murders would be found in Richard Allen's home. So one of the witnesses says they saw a man in a tan-colored jacket, so that doesn't line up. They're making a point about that. It's all very interesting, you guys. I just don't know. I don't know. I'm going to show you this, though. This is Richard and his wife. This was a video from her Facebook here. And I think this is where hold on. Ready?
I smell it. Smells like summertime.
That's good.
Ready? I smell it. Smells like summertime.
That's good.
I thought that was interesting to see if you guys hadn't seen that. Midwest Meemaw, Lori says, mark my words, none of this Odinist info will be brought up in the trial. I will be shocked if it's not, because the detail that they have already went in, and if they can prove, I think that they have created already a little bit of reasonable doubt with the people who are following, but you got to remember, these jury members are not going to be your average true crime viewer, right? So Shay is a super sleuth. I love her digging too. She does a great job. Why would they want to set him up, though? This case was so cold, they could have gotten away with it if R.A. wasn't introduced as a suspect. That's a great point, Neat Noodle. And Music City Mama, I'm so sorry. I am so, so sorry. Law enforcement is not required to tell the judge about other potential suspects when asking for a search warrant. No, but they should fully look into other suspects, right? So if there are other law enforcement officers who were working this case that would testify and say, we believed the investigation needed to go this way and it didn't. It wasn't looked at all or something like that. You know, I don't know. Eileen says, I think it will be. And you got to remember, they also submitted a ton of evidence with that memorandum that we didn't get to see. Crime scene evidence, things they've gathered from Facebook. Just there was a whole list of things, right, that we didn't get to see. MB Gal, that's interesting. He admittedly turned himself in. That's huge. That tip was overlooked. Richard's name entered in the wrong in the system, and then the initial time he gave doesn't align with what the PCA is saying. I don't know, you guys. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. So if you missed the beginning, I said a couple things that I wanted you guys to know. Number one, on Friday, we're going to do a fundraiser. So anybody who wanted to buy memberships or super chat or anything like that, I just wanted to let you guys know if you wanted to save it and use it for that. It's either there's a couple different charities I'm looking at using. It just depends because it's going to be through YouTube. So what happens is the super chat button disappears and there is a fundraiser button. All funds go directly to the charity. YouTube does not get a penny of it. I do not get a penny of it. It all goes directly to the charity. There are a couple that I'm looking at, but I have to see which ones are YouTube approved. I know Bendy wanted to look at some that maybe helped with natural disasters because hurricane season, all the stuff in Maui, some of the things happening. Pointer Lover suggested a really great one that's true crime related. So I'm going to look at both of those options and do something there. The next thing was... Well, I can't remember. Let me think. I lost my train of thought. Hopefully it comes back to me in a second. What was it? I don't know, but hopefully it comes back to me. I'll let you guys know. I think that maybe tomorrow I'll try to stream on Real Talk. I really want to work on building that channel up some. So if you're not subscribed over there, it's not going to be true crime. But if you want to hang out and talk about all kinds of other things, then that is the place to be. Let me see. I feel there's still a lot more that still needs to be said. No, sweet Melissa, you're not blocked or timeout. I see you. Let me see if I see any other comments from you I missed. Let me scroll back just for a second. I do not see other ones, though, before that. That's odd. I wonder if they were held by YouTube. Sometimes YouTube will do that. Do you think they didn't investigate anyone else? What about RL? He was thoroughly investigated and they couldn't find anything. Well, I want to hear from these officers directly that believe that, right? Until I think it's one thing to be written by a defense attorney. I'd like to hear from them. So we'll see. That's a good point, Humanimal. Perhaps they would have had an arrest earlier if they had less white noise. So all the people they've had to eliminate as suspects. Which one? To Real Talk? Yes. Oh, Shay dropped it. Thank you, Shay. Right there. Yeah, you guys, please check it out. I want to go hang. I've got a couple interesting things planned for over there, but it's a variety of things because that's more of what it is right now. Like just other things that I'm interested in and want to talk about besides true crime, whether it's celebrity stuff, recipes, just like totally tripped out stuff like the universe, aliens, UFOs, all that stuff. Where do we go when we die? I've done streams on all of that stuff over there. So it's just like all kinds of different things channel. Curious Jen, I'm about to go. But I will see you guys Friday over here for sure for that fundraiser. And yeah, thank you guys for joining me today. I love and appreciate you. I got to go pick up my baby from football. So, all right, Tiff. Thanks for being here, babe. Thank all you guys for being here. I love and appreciate you. It's a variety channel. There you go. I love you guys, Riddler. I really do. Kokomo, I don't know because I have asked a couple people to join, and any other people who are interested in joining that panel, creators or not, let me know. Oh, thank you, sweet Melissa. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Thank you for being here. I love and appreciate you. I hope you have a great day. Nate, I'm going to call you because I need to talk to you anyways. Because when I opened the computer, I was still on that video that we were watching. All right. Thank you for being here. Have a great day. Thank you to my mods. Thank you, Carol Freaking Claus. Thank you, Pretty Bug's Tail, West Virginia Mama, Richie, Shauna, all you guys. I love and appreciate you, and I just hope you have the best evening. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.